So everybody is familiar with the phrase "drill, baby, drill," right? But there are three other babies we got to talk about. We got to talk about map, baby, map, right? Mine, baby, mine, and build, baby, build. Can you explain how these four?
On the map, baby, map, U.S. Geologic Survey is part of Interior. Their job is to go map these enormous resources we have onshore, offshore, and specifically subsurface. And if people don't think that's important, I would encourage people to read this great book that came out in the early 2000s called The Map That Changed the World. And it was a story about this aspiring geologist cartographer in England, Scotland, and Wales, who actually personally, between 1800 and 1815, went around and mapped the whole country, all the subsurface acres. And people and here's where the coal is, here's where all the resources are. That led to this century of the UK and Britain becoming a global power. They revolutionized transportation. They had the ability to move heavy objects from A to B with steam trains powered by coal. They could do manufacturing someplace that wasn't next to a river where you needed water power. I mean, it transformed everything. They became the biggest shipbuilder. They projected power all over the world because of one guy and his map. And then later in the 1800s, then Interior, which was formed in 1849, and then later, hey, we should be doing that in the U.S. U.S. Geologic Survey was created. Did that in many of these executive orders and things that we're seeing, where we're taking surface land or others off the map, completely extending beyond the original language in the Antiquities Act to create massive national monuments, which I think courts will find that some of those have gone way beyond the law. In the fine print, it says, oh, you can't even do any mapping. I mean, there was a conscious effort to hide the resources that the American public owns in all these public lands and actually sort of put USGS out of business. So we've got to get back to the mapping business, and that's key because that relates to mine, baby, mine, because we've killed the mining industry in our country over the last 30 years. Just check the number of college graduates we have, the programs that are shutting down. And then what did we do? We outsourced our environmental angst by saying, oh, we'll just buy them all from China. And then China, who does open pit mining, destroys countries like Indonesia, the Democratic Republic of Congo. They use child labor, they use prisoners, they use forced labor. They don't have an EPA, and they don't do any of that. And then they flood the market with low-cost minerals anytime we try to do any here, and then they crush U.S. entrepreneurs that are trying to get in. Meanwhile, so then we wake up and we say, wow, we just had a policy where we were going to subsidize EV vehicles with batteries that came from China when China controls 85% of the mineral refinery, and we're going to tax all of you to create subsidies so that we can buy minerals from them. And now that we're in we've been in a Cold War, we've been in a cyber war with them, we're in a cyber war with them every day, but they're saying, I mean, it's on page 18, but we're going to stop shipping gallium and germanium to the US. I mean, they have export controls, and you take the top 20 minerals we need for national defense, for technology, for your cell phones, and we are almost completely reliant on foreign sources, many of those China. So I mean, one of the things that the NEDC is focused on is how do we catch up? I mean, we're in a precarious position when we have just put ourselves in an enormous position of dependence on adversaries or potential adversaries for the critical minerals. So map, baby, map, mine, baby, mine. And then the third one is build, baby, build, is we've got to start building. We've got to build power generation. We've got to build more base load power. We got dangerously out of whack between intermittent, unreliable, expensive versus the affordable, low-cost base load. That endangers our whole grid. So that was those are the sort of the four babies. It's the first time I've heard all that, but I love that.
That's how we refer to it. It's the four babies.